Cowboys are on a 4-game win streak headed to Foxbourgh for Week 6 to take on the New England Patriots. Last time these two teams met up, which was just 2 seasons ago, the Cowboys had a different head coach, and while the Patriots had almost a completely different roster, including their quarterback.
We got a chance to talk to Dan Quinn on Monday, and he said one of your superpowers is that you never get too high or too low. You don't ride the wave. You kind of keep it right down the middle and stay consistent. Is that something that...
Just like my golf game.
Is it...
I don't play anymore.
Is that something that you've always been? Has it learned? And then also, why is that important?
Well, I think it's definitely needed in a position of leadership. I think it's like all of us. You learn things, not only about the game, the preparation part of it, the performance part of it, but you definitely have to learn about yourself. So I'm a big believer in listening to your own language. I think, coaching a different generation today than when I got into the league in the early '90s. I think that's part of the learning process. But yeah, I think if you want consistency, you definitely have to have consistency from the leadership positions.
When you look at your run defense through the first 5 games, what do you put most of the success there on? Is it the leads you've been part of it, some of the leads you've been able to generate, or have they just stopped it early and?
No, I just think it comes down to the way our guys are playing. I mean, if having a lead and people trying to run the ball to keep our offense off the field, that could be part of it too. But no, I just think our run defense was priority number 1 coming into the season. I think the players and coaches have done an outstanding job. We're playing it differently, than we did last year. I mean, we were more in a transition to what we want it to look like this year, and I think Dan is, hammers it each and every day, and once again, I just think our guys understand it. That's the starting point of any great defense.
As you've looked at the Patriots offense, what stood out about Mac Jones?
Well, I'll tell you, he's for a young quarterback, and you can see the command. He's definitely comfortable. And it's an offense that's game plan specific each week. It's different. So when you look at their whole body of work from the season, you see a lot of scheme. So I think that is definitely a compliment to him as a young quarterback, that he's handled that pretty seamlessly. But he knows where to go with the ball. They're more 2-back offense in the early games than we've seen to date. So that'll be something that we're focused on. But I think he looks very comfortable in their system.
Pats quarterback Mac Jones will be going up against his former Alabama teammate Trayvon Diggs, who will be looking to continue his 5-game interception streak.
Let's get back into Trey Diggs. Dan Quinn had this comment about Trey Diggs. Let's go ahead and play that one, Chris.
He's quiet by nature, but I would say don't confuse that quiet demeanor. This is a true wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, this guy is a rare competitor, and I love the way he goes after it in battles. And he's got some excellent players to go against in practice. So if you want to really test yourself, look no further than our own practice field. And he's definitely, usually up for that challenge as it goes through.
I don't know about wolf in sheep's clothing, because we saw it at Hard Knocks when my boy was going at Cooper and Dak. He was letting them know what time it was. So I don't know about wolves in sheep's clothing.
Well, he was saying he's quiet, probably a friendly guy. Okay, but then he got that Dez Bryant side on the field is what he's meaning, right? Because Dez Bryant is a wolf in wolf's clothing.
Yeah, without a doubt. He's one of the most competitive guys. We could be playing paper football. You know what I mean? What do you think this is? You got dubbed. So, I understand that part about it.
So, the dude's playing great.
He is, man. What is it? Is it 6 picks in 5 games?
Yeah.
God, no.
And like the fact that we are sitting here thinking about how long can this streak go?
I'm like,
for interceptions.
I was off the train a couple of weeks back. Bro. He ain't gonna get enough. Man,
I know you owe me some for that.
I hate to think that somebody doubted me for saying that man deserved a second contract last year.
Let me tell you something.
He was early on that. Yeah. He was early. I give you credit on that. He was early.
He called him when he was getting toasted. All right, but we also chalked it up. Well, I did, because Church he want to put it on the players. Nolan was horrible. All right, I don't give it.
He didn't have an off season.
Nolan held everybody on that defense back. There was not a player who was better, who got better that year. And then all of a sudden he's gone, and name a player who has not gotten better on defense.
Right about that.
If you can find
I gave
one.
50-50 last year.
I know.
I gave 50-50.
But find me a player who hadn't got better.
But Church,
it's gonna take me a while. Let me do some research.
Think about this, Church. So the vision I had that even through this bad, I saw the good. This man was gonna get on the second.
Boy, Pat, I see what you got going on.
I was doubted by somebody.
It's just impressive because he's getting it all types of ways. I mean, he's playing zone coverage off. I mean, and he's getting these interceptions. Like, when's the last time you saw a DB on that deep ball be able to track the ball better than the receiver was able to?
Pat P.
Pat P. And he's a legendary corner.
And he's great. And to be listed up there with some of those guys, some of those Stephon Gilmores, those Richard Shermans, those Darrell Reeveses, to where at some point in time they're not going to be throwing his way.
Oh yeah,
so
AB,
my man,
get ready.
AB's gonna have to. He's gonna have to get his cleats ready, tie him up. AB. Him and Jordan Lewis, they're gonna have to get ready.
The men behind all the big stats the Cowboys are putting up this year when we return on Cowboys Rewind.
Cowboys Rewind is brought to you by AT&T and by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. This segment is brought to you by Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Cowboys owe a lot of their success so far this season to the guys that get the least amount of credit and record almost no stats, the offensive line. Tyron Smith joins Cowboys Hour to talk about the difference in the team this season.
Do you expect complete cleanliness on your assignment every time?
For me, I'm always trying to be perfect as much as I can be. So I always try to figure any kind of mistake I have in the game.
Have you ever had a perfect game?
No, it's impossible to have a perfect game, but it's good to strive for it.
Have you been close to a perfect game?
Yeah, close before.
How often does that happen?
Rare.
So we were chatting before we came out here, and obviously for an offensive lineman, what the team does, every player says what the team does is that's what I'm here for. But for an offensive lineman, he's got no statistics except the ones he helps provide for someone else. And so I've always felt that offensive linemen really and truly have to mean it when they say it's all about the team and it's all about winning. So how much more satisfying or accomplished is it as a feeling for you when your offense is scoring like you are and you're running like you are, and you know that the five of you are the reason why?
I think it has a part of everybody's being selfish right now, and everybody's playing for one another, not really thinking about stats or anything like that. They're actually just worried about one day at a time and taking care of what we have to get done, doing your job.
Does this season feel like any other season to you?
It's a little different. Like I said before, it's a little unselfish this year. Everybody just, like I said before, everybody's playing for each other.
The media was talking to Kellen Moore a little while ago, and Kellen brought up as a reminder in 2016 when Dak and Zeke were rookies, Kellen was actually the backup quarterback ahead of Dak when you went to camp, got hurt in camp. And so he was Dak's teammate. And I reminded him, and I'm going to ask you the same thing now. In that year, you started, lost the first game, as I recall, and then, got off on a great run. And no one seemed to want to believe it. It didn't seem real to people around. Like, well, they've got to go to Green Bay. Wait till they go to Green Bay. Oh, well, they beat Green Bay. Well, wait till they go to Pittsburgh. And so the question that I asked him, and that I'm going to ask you now, is there anything about what you remember about what that role felt like in 2016 that's comparable in any way to this one?
It's to the point to where we're having much fun as we did back then, but it seemed like more of an adult team. Everybody's a little more mature this year.
The history of the Cowboys versus the Patriots hasn't been in favor of Dallas in the past. Will Week 6 change things? Stay tuned to find out more on Cowboys Rewind.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys versus the New England Patriots is one the Cowboys don't usually look forward to. Winning in New England isn't something the Cowboys have been too familiar with in the past.
Hey Cowboy Nations, I'm Nick Eatman along with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Stephen, things are rolling right now. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. I mean, 4 straight games of wins. Just tell me, what is it like to be walking around? I mean, you're always a positive person anyways, but when it's 4-1 and the way you guys are winning, it's got to be even more special.
Well, it is. I must say, hats off to Coach McCarthy, to our coaching staff, to our players. They're playing at a high level, and certainly you want to continue to improve upon what we've done up to this point, which, believe it or not, I think we can. Even though we're playing at a high level, I really do think there's a lot of room for improvement with this young football team. But I know they've been doing it around here. We've had a coach here before whose famous line is, "Don't take the cheese," right, because there's a mousetrap in there somewhere. And I do think with our leadership, both at a coaching staff level as well as Dak and the leaders we have on this team, Randy Gregory, Leighton Vander Esch, Kazee, the whole group back there, Diggs, is playing with a swagger. And they want to come to work every day. We have a lot of depth on this team. We know there's players that are on reserve lists right now that are going to be coming back. And everybody knows they need to be at practice every week working, or they may not be out on the field that particular week. But, we need them all. But it is great to have a great start. Of course, we probably went against the greatest quarterback of all time first week in Tom Brady, and now we're going against one of the all-time great coaches, and Coach Belichick. So we're going to have our hands full. We're going to need a great week of practice, and going up to a hostile environment up there in New England, we've got our work cut out for us.
We were just looking at that a few minutes ago before you came on. New England's one of the very few places that I don't believe that you guys have won since Jerry bought the team and you guys have been a part of the Cowboys. There's been a few games, don't play all the time, but what makes it such a tough place other than just, like you said, the combination of great coach, great quarterback?
Well, that's the biggest thing. Coach Belichick and Tom Brady have been up there for many, 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 many years and been around a long time, and they're hard to beat, especially on their home turf. But on top of that, it's a unique place up there in New England, and certainly the fans love their Patriots, and it's a challenge when you go up there. So hopefully we can turn the tide now, but we'll have our work cut out for us.
There have been what-if moments throughout Cowboys history. For example, what if Dez's catch actually counted as a catch? We dive into some Cowboys what-if moments when we return. This week, Dave Hellman answers some what-if questions from fans on Twitter, and they are definitely some moments I have sat and pondered myself. Let's take a look.
Let's get right into it with a question from my buddy Jacob. He says, what if the Cowboys had never given Jalen Smith a massive extension? That feels timely, that feels fitting given the news of the week, right? I don't think the answer is what you think it is. So let's teleport all the way back to the summer of 2019. You got Zeke holding out. You got Dak Prescott still dealing with a contract extension. And you also have Byron Jones sitting there looking at free agency. So it's easy to just say, well, give that money to all these other guys. How does it actually play out, though? If you don't give Jalen a contract extension, he goes into next year as a restricted free agent. I bet, even with the downturn in play, I bet the Cowboys tender him as a original round pick. So a second round tender, lock him up on another year deal for a small amount of money. I think it would have been like $5 or $6 million. Not too big of a deal. But you're not, I don't think the Cowboys are giving that money to Byron Jones is basically what I'm trying to say. I've been around enough of these negotiations to feel like it wasn't a money issue. The Cowboys hold on to guys that they want to hold on to. I don't think they were interested in paying Byron Jones that much money. I think they were hung up on the lack of interceptions. Seeing what we're seeing from Trayvon Diggs, I guess I kind of see their thought process. So as nice as it would be to have an all-pro corner across from Trayvon, I don't think that happens. I really don't. I think he walks. I think maybe you use some of the savings. How about this? I'm so thorough, I even looked up some names. Maybe you get Emmanuel Ogbah, a guy that they liked in Jalen Smith's draft class. He was drafted right in front of them if you think all the way back to the second round of that draft. Maybe you sign him. He signed that year for 2 years, $15 million with Cleveland. Maybe you sign Bradley Roby? Maybe. That seems a little rich for me. He signed a $36 million deal that spring. Cowboys don't love throwing deals of that size around. If anything, and maybe this is just too much hindsight, I wonder if the Cowboys use the savings on Jalen's contract to get something done with Dak quicker. Maybe they could have saved themselves some money. Maybe Dak doesn't play 2020 on the franchise tag. Maybe that's not even an element of the conversation when he gets hurt. It's weird to think about. I don't think that money would have gone to Byron Jones, though, just for whatever it's worth. Jack wants to know, what if the Cowboys had drafted Rashawn Slater? This is the easiest one to answer just because not that much has happened. It's pretty straightforward. Cowboys still trade back. They weren't going to draft Parsons at 10 anyway. They still trade. Eagles still wind up with Devontae Smith. Bears still trade with the Giants to get Justin Fields. All of that, I think, stays the same. Cowboys draft Slater over Parsons. We get that. I think Rashawn Slater, if he's here, he's probably playing left guard if I had to guess, and Connor Williams is your swing interior offensive lineman. Maybe you try to trade Connor McGovern for something, a day 3 pick, something like that. And what's really interesting is you think if we're still in a timeline where Lyle Collins gets suspended, which we are, maybe Rashawn Slater's playing right tackle right now, and maybe we are having a hell of a controversial conversation about Lyle Collins' future because Rashawn Slater looks like a stud.
Make sure you head to DallasCowboys.com to check out the full episode. Next up, we check in with Dallas Cowboys United fans for this week's best response to caption that photo posted on social media. September 15th to October 15th is celebrated in America as Hispanic Heritage Month. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders shared what it meant to them.
Hola, estoy muy emocionada para celebrar el mes de España Herencia contigo. Hi, I'm so excited to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with you. Hispanic Heritage Month is something that's really important just because I think that as the United States, we have people who come from all over the world to live in our country, and so taking time to celebrate each of those cultures and people groups is really special. For me personally, I think being Hispanic is just part of my everyday life, so I celebrate only when I get together with my family, so hopefully I'll have a chance to see my family and celebrate sometime this month. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are a very diverse group of ladies who come from all over the country. Many of us have different backgrounds, both our heritage, but also where we come from. So being a representative of the Hispanic culture is something that's very special to me, and I know that it's really important to my family as well. Para mi cultura, mi herencia España, dos personas son muy importantes a mí, son mis abuelos. Someone in Hispanic culture that's really important to me are my grandparents. Both of them came from really poor families who had tons of siblings, and they struggled to provide for my parents, who were able to even provide more for my generation. So every time I get an opportunity to speak Spanish or to represent the Hispanic culture, it's really special to them, and so that's who I'm thinking about this month. I think one of the main things that I saw from my parents and my grandparents was hard work. They modeled that in generation to generation. My grandparents didn't have that much, but they worked so hard to provide for their kids, who in return worked really hard to provide for my generation, my siblings, and myself. And so if there's anything that they taught me, it was to work really hard and to work for what my dreams are. I'm DCC Kristen, y feliz mes de la herencia hispana.
Now, before we head out of here, it is time for this week's Caption That. If you would like to be featured on Cowboys Rewind, make sure you join Dallas Cowboys United. Let's check out our photo for today. This was posted. This is our Caption That picture, and the winner actually had an amazing caption. He said this: we were like, they're not going to try Diggs. There's no way they're going to try Diggs. And then they tried Diggs. And we were like, they tried Diggs. They tried Diggs. Yeah, I'm wondering when they're going to stop throwing his way. Who knows? But thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's Cowboys Rewind. I'm Britt Johnson, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Cowboys Rewind was brought to you by AT&T, SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.